What do you feel when you look at these images? What feelings do they evoke? Loneliness, nostalgia, dread, or perhaps even comfort? The term liminal is nothing new on the internet. There are countless video essays, books, communities, and discussions surrounding this term, especially in the last couple of years with the unavoidable rise of the backrooms and that nostalgia that comes along with it that many get from these images being mainly from or based in the early 2000s. I myself have always loved these images purely just because of these factors. A liminal space is a recognizable location stripped of its usual purpose and context, which makes it feel strange and unsettling, devoid of people, activity, and purpose, existing in a state of silent potential. Never a destination, always a transitional point. Imagine a water park on a hot summer's day. Its colors vibrant, people all around, you can hear the laughter of family and friends everywhere you look. There's activity and life. It's now winter, the off-season, not a single person in sight. The harsh shades of white snow and the cold air. Or even a classroom, for example. You might go there during the day, full of energy, chatter, the sounds of pens and pencils writing on paper. The room is lit up and you're surrounded by classmates and teachers. Coming back that very night for an evening function, you walk through the school at night to see the same classroom, empty and dark in a different context. There should be people here, and it feels strange to look at a place that was once so vibrant and full of something, again, without a purpose. A transitional space. There are great examples of this too in video games, particularly ones from the early 2000s. The early internet, simpler times, places that used to be full of activity and people from all around the world chatting and interacting with each other. Of course, as people grow older and technology advances, these spaces become outdated and unused, an empty shell of the players that used to occupy them. They sit there, waiting again for activity. Games such as Roblox, Minecraft, and pretty much any MMO from the early 2000s are widely known for having these unoccupied spaces. Even some of my old favourite games have fallen victim to this. Digital worlds that remain unnoticed, seemingly for the rest of time. I don't want to disappoint you, but I will actually not be talking about any of these today, and instead I will be talking about the video game based off the movie of the same name from 2006, Barnyard.
Oh no, not the dog! You gotta be kidding me. Who greenlit this garbage?
Yeah, you read the title right. Okay, hear me out before you leave. Let me riddle you this. Have you ever ridden a bike and done sick tricks, thrown tomatoes at kids in the face, or gone for a high-speed joyride in the night, all GTA style, as a cow? Yeah, I didn't think so. I think it's safe to say that this game was one of mine and surprisingly a lot of other people's favourite childhood games. Seriously, I spent days on this game as a kid in the summer. The movie, however, was not as well received. I mean, the idea is just Toy Story but with barn animals. Something I never seemed to question as a kid was the insane anatomy of these cows. Why do the male cows have udders? Shouldn't they be bulls? Why doesn't he have udders? Why do they drink their own milk? If the milk came from Otis, is it really milk? Why do they have full sets of teeth? And what the hell is this thing? I don't know why, but this used to be just one of my favourite movies when I was younger, and rewatching it now, it's just... ugh. Regardless, it is just a silly, light-hearted Nickelodeon film that has some pretty memorable quotes and funny moments.
Dude, I got an arm! Yeah, right, yes!
The movie follows Otis, voiced by Kevin James, a born-to-be party animal forced upon a set of rules and responsibilities by his father Ben, the leader of the barn. The barnyard animals live a secret life of walking, talking, and partying when the farmer isn't looking.
Me, but I couldn't help notice you over there. Whoa! Hey! Oh, look at you. You're all,
Wanda?
Oh, you know who I am? Okay. Thought I had to turn around and show you my big ass.
You completely misinterpreted
what?
that. I didn't say you had a big
You
ass.
yelled out, hey, big ass,
No,
Wanda.
I didn't say big ass. Just saying hello. I was just trying...
Is that how you say hello?
Ben is the voice of reason and keeps the barn in line and cares for the animals and his son, despite his irresponsibility.
A strong man stands up for himself. A stronger man stands up for others.
In a sea of silliness, his character is what makes the story matter, and he's dead. So Otis is forced to become the new leader. but is completely unprepared and fails to protect the farm from the coyotes.
See you around. Round. You're fat.
I think the best part of this movie has to be the beaties. And intentional or not, just any of the humans are way funnier than anything else.
This is a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
Not a great look when your entire movie is about talking animals. After spending some time with the Courtney Cox cow, eventually Otis realizes that there's more to life than partying and goofing off, and gains the confidence and responsibility he lacked before and fights back. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the movie. I'm sorry for all my die-hard Barnyard fans out there who really wanted an in-depth look on this masterpiece.
Nice.
The game, however, was generally considered better. Better pacing, better music, and really goes crazy considering it came out before the movie and the developers didn't have much to go off of.
How do I look? I have no idea.
Developed by Blue Tongue Entertainment, an Australian video game development studio published by THQ. THQ acquired Blue Tongue in 2004 and operated as an internal studio until its closure in August 2011, which is honestly really sad because they made a lot of great games like Jurassic Park, Operation Genius, and The Blob. It loosely follows the plot of the movie, but instead of playing as Otis, you're introduced into the barnyard as your own cow that you design and name.
Now, what are we gonna call you?
There's a vast open world, although slightly more compact compared to the movie, with a day and night cycle. You do missions for other animals, complete mini-games, and work off your efforts with building up the night barn over time. You can even work a shift at the bar or play pool with Duke.
See you, chump.
No! No!
It's sort of like if Animal Crossing and GTA had a child, but if everyone booty called you all the time.
I got attacked!
Every text you receive is either sexual, threatening, or somehow both.
Like I said before, the game is open world, so you're able to free range and pretty much do whatever you'd like. You can spend your time riding around the map, exploring the vast plains, cooking, unlocking special features, grinding for gopher bucks, which you can then use to buy things for the night barn, or this sweet ride. Pissing off other animals.
Why do you do this to me?
Quit staring at me.
Or just simply taking in the scenery. Seriously, why is this game so beautiful? It just had this quality to it. This atmosphere. It seemed like the developers really cared about this game as much as they could and tried to make it true to the original source material. I think about the fun I had with this game along with the niche group of people out there who also enjoyed it. It's a shame too because besides a couple of YouTube videos out there, I barely hear anyone talk about it or even remember it. Which brings me back to the title and topic of this video and why I touched on all the liminal stuff in the beginning. As I mentioned before, the game had a certain atmospheric quality. Certain locations and events in the game that would stand out and either have this undeniable beauty and charm to it, or perhaps even something more ominous. Come along with me as we dip into the forgotten atmosphere of the Barnyard game. So we start up a new save file with our lovely croquette. At the start we talk to Ben and of course Otis, just to learn some basic game mechanics. Otis teaches us to squirt. Did I not mention the squirting mechanic? A lot of the gameplay and minigames rely on squirting milk out of your udders. How about hello, how are you? You can also squirt these plants called milkweed to unlock bonus art and animation. To squirt things, simply put on your sunglasses and you're good to go. I guess it's rude to look someone in the eye when you squirt them with milk. Oh well, at least it looks pretty sick. After you do all this, you unlock a key to outside the barnyard. And you're pretty much free to roam around a little bit in the unlocked areas like Ben's Hill, Dankweed Pond, yes, Dankweed Pond, the Vegetable Patch, and Dandelion Meadows. Outside the barnyard is where most of this video's topic takes place. During the day, it's quite relaxing and doesn't fail to immerse you in the farm life. Occasionally while walking around or even riding your bike, you'll stumble across NPCs standing at their designated posts or even hanging around for missions. So you're not always alone and there are still some signs of activity going on. Originally, as seen in the now lost beta version of the game, it looks like they used to have their own free roam mechanic, which I just think is super cute. I would like to touch up on the beta version a little bit later and other scrap features, but for now we'll carry on. There's always been something about Dandelion Meadows that just made me feel at ease. It's one of the few really open spaces in the game besides Grizzly Gulch. Perhaps it's the way the sun sits on the horizon or the calmness of the sunflowers over the hills. Perhaps even the slow, still waves of the long green grass. As the night falls as abruptly as it does, you can't help but feel a sense of loneliness. Animals, once at their spots, tend to quite literally disappear, and you're left alone with the sounds of the night and many other sounds around the farm. Although quite relaxing, it's easy to feel a little lonely and uneasy too. Such a completely different shift in tone from the bustling farm life we previously saw less than 5 minutes ago. The music changes drastically to an almost melancholy degree, sort of like the 7 PM music from New Leaf that screams that relaxing yet sad feeling. Although you're not completely alone when it comes to nightfall. On Ben's Hill, with one of the best views in the game overlooking the barnyard and the rest of the map, depending on where you stand, Ben can be seen playing his guitar. Not a bad detail from the movie. This is, of course, bound to change later. Throughout many of my playthroughs as a kid, I encountered many glitches and strange things that used to freak me out a bit. Areas like Walnut Woods or the honey collecting minigame, where there's what sounds to be screaming in the distance, Grizzly Gulch and the junkyard with the coyotes, Ben roaming around the barn at night and just pointing, or as mentioned before, NPCs literally disappearing or appearing when you turn your back. I tried my best to rediscover most of these things during my time revisiting the game with a little help from Infinite Core. Infinite Core has dedicated a lot of their time to this game with making various mods, including a winter mod which looks so pretty, coyote invasion, speedrunning tools, and an enhanced mod to name a few. I highly recommend checking out their channel and Discord server too if you would like updates on the various projects in the making, which I'll link in the description. Thanks to the free cam mod, we are able to take the camera anywhere we want in the game and really explore, which is something I've always wanted to do. Throughout your journey in the game, you'll definitely come across a lot of sounds that immerse you in the day or night. This could range anywhere between birds chirping, frogs croaking, wind rustling through the trees, ponds and lakes, rain pattering on the floor, or crickets and owls at night. You could simply be walking around the farm and be greeted with this lovely sound. Throughout Dandelion Meadows and throughout the distance of the farm, you will always be accompanied by the lonely, eerie howl of the steel windmill. Largely used in Australia, Southern Africa, and on ranches and farms in the southwest of the United States. They usually sound this way when they're old or haven't been oiled in a while, which makes up for the creepy, horror movie-esque sound quality. Especially for someone who's not entirely used to rural settings, this sound would honestly scare the crap out of me if I was walking through a meadow at night and had no idea what it was. So there definitely is something eerie and haunting about these things. That's not to say that there isn't something remarkably beautiful about these structures as they do their part. It's the sound of something old and left alone, working endlessly in a big, empty field. It can feel a little sad or even a little spooky. It doesn't fill the space, it just reminds you of how much empty space there is. There's a similar sounding watermill down at, well, the old mill, that has more of a rhythm to it. It still makes eerie sounds into the night, deep groans and loud creaks like an old machine, constantly working. However, it isn't as haunting and atmospheric as the wind pump. Finally passing through the old mill, you'll eventually make your way through Grizzly Gulch and the junkyard. Oh wait, we haven't even unlocked it yet.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't.
With that out of the way, we are able to have a closer look. Upon reaching the entrance gate to the junkyard, which remains closed until after the end of the game, we are greeted with Dag, the main antagonist of the movie, and the other coyotes wandering about. This always used to make me feel a certain unease. Maybe it's the sign that reads we obviously shouldn't be here, or the way he stands there all night grinning at you. He remains stationary for hours, and his eyes completely black with these tiny sharp white pupils staring right through you. Not to mention the literal death threats he throws at you.
I'm Dag, and you're dead.
I tried so hard to get onto the other side of the fence, but didn't have much luck. These sound effects really add to the atmosphere of the game, creating a soundscape that feels lively yet isolated. After unlocking the night barn and doing some basic missions, Chapter 1 comes to an end, and we begin Chapter 2, Raccoon Season. This chapter contains of 3 minigames and side missions, including honey collecting in Walnut Woods. After talking to Hannah, she gives us a key to Walnut Woods, which is just at the top of Dandelion Meadows, to get some honey. I was seriously not looking forward to this one while playing. For some reason, this minigame just never stuck right with me. Let me know if I'm not the only one here, but here we go. The goal is to steal honey from the beehive without the bees noticing. If they do, you get stung. You have a certain amount of lives to go by while you swat them away, squirt them with milk, or hide. This is pretty much the only thing I did. If you were to eventually run out of lives, I guess you just die? It might be the fact that there's no music, making it more ominous than it should be. Or what seems to be someone yelling in the background as mentioned before. Or even just the area. Regardless, I never got a chance to really take a good look at this location before, because I would pretty much just hide and grab some honey and bounce. I mean, who can blame me? Years ago, I remember seeing a comment on a Let's Play that made me pretty much mute this level every time it was on the TV. I didn't think I'd actually hear anything when replaying because, well, kids like to make things up online. But after turning the volume up, to my surprise, I did hear something. It almost sounds like someone yelling hey or help in the distance to get my attention. This absolutely caught me off guard and I just kind of sat there listening to the sounds. Could it be a lost hiker, an animal howling, or something else entirely? It's a grab for attention without any context. Is it a question, a warning, a trick? Taking a closer look around, we can see an old, rusted, forgotten stop sign as it slumps wearily on its side. And around it sits a nest of decaying tires. These signs are a universal symbol of rules, order, safety, and civilization. An old car wreck parked against a tree with vines and plants almost piercing through it. It's obvious this wreck has been here for a while, but why here? It's almost post-apocalyptic with all these things being reclaimed by nature. It's so strange to see all of these man-made objects abandoned in these woods. A faint scar of human civilization slowly being erased. You can't help but wonder what exactly happened in these woods. The strangest thing to me in this area has to be the colossal cow statue. Whatever happened here, this seems to be the one thing that remains almost unaffected. Almost like a silent guardian watching over the land. Did the farmer just secretly build this cow shrine in the middle of the woods when no one was looking? It just leaves me with so many questions. Regardless, I think there's definitely a story to be told here. Now, obviously, I didn't hear someone screaming for help earlier, but seems to be some kind of wind simulation instead. Not sure what about this sounds very wind-like, but you're not supposed to have the volume all the way up like I did. I mean, seriously, it wouldn't have hurt to put in some goofy music or something. Once we successfully collect the honey, the bees get pretty angry, so we have to leave. You can still hear the bees buzzing quite aggressively the closer you stand to the Walnut Woods fence, a warning that makes me sure I'll never go back in. At some point in this chapter, we also get a key for the Walnut Woods map area along the way to Beatty Farm. Although the Walnut Woods path isn't as ominous and you don't hear the wind howling the way it does in the minigame, there is still something undeniably liminal about the area. Rather than this area being a destination like Dandelion Meadows or the Old Mill for example, Walnut Woods serves as a transitional pathway. People would only use this pathway to get from A to B, so unless there's some much known traffic at night, it would be weird to see someone else here. This lonesome narrow path with its long enclosed hills that sort of act as walls, restricting our vision a little bit, creating almost a maze-like sense. I think the fact that you can't totally see the full path ahead on foot makes it pretty ominous. I just feel like something's going to jump out at me. As well as the fact that when you reach a certain point in the area, the music just stops. Leaving you with nothing but the sound of your own footsteps and leading me further to think that the anticipation of not knowing what's going to happen or what could be there. There are some other areas in the map that have the same effect, like Grizzly Gulch and the Junkyard, and I think I know why. Earlier, I mentioned the beta version, which had certain features like animals walking freely around the map, a life counter, happiness levels, a camera that could take photos, and a multiplayer mode for some of the minigames. According to the Barnyard video game wiki, coyotes during the nighttime would come to invade the barnyard or the player if they were going to Grizzly Gulch or Walnut Woods, but the feature was removed. This can definitely explain the lack of music and atmosphere. I just can't imagine the serenity of the farm life being interrupted by the eerie howl of the coyotes. Like, just imagine walking through the woods at night and you hear this. Unfortunately, going by its crazy release date of 3 days before the actual movie, this game is unfinished. It's most likely they had a crazy rushed release schedule, so we did miss out on a lot of these features. The beta version is probably still out there, waiting to be found. The closest thing we have to a finished game would probably have to be the Japanese version for the Wii, so let me know if you've played that one before. But anyway, back to Walnut Woods. A single streetlight hums over a bike stop as it stands empty, a promise of a way forward, not of a place of rest. While a lonesome bench sits upon a slope, away from the path, placed in a spot too awkward for comfort. Everything here is designed for passage, not arrival. A fallen tree trunk forms a tunnel overhead, the final stop before you emerge back at the entrance to the woods. As isolated as this area is, maybe the nature makes up for it. Just like in the movie, Ben does eventually serve the same fate. The game chooses to commemorate his death by making us pick up his favourite flowers to put on his grave.
You got real dark.
And poor Otis, who's absolutely crushed by the news. Earlier in the video, I mentioned the countless glitches and bugs I would encounter as a kid. One of them being finding NPCs in weird places they shouldn't be. There was one specific one I remember so well, and I really wanted to try and recreate it. I tried so hard, but unfortunately I just couldn't get it to happen. But luckily, someone on YouTube had the same experience, so thanks to them, I'll be using their footage for this segment. I was playing on my GameCube when it happened. My missions for the day were complete. The digital sun had set, and my character was safely tucked into a bed at the save point, stamina refilling. When I awoke in the game that night, I saw something peculiar. It was just Ben, motionless in the middle of the barnyard. This was weird because he's usually meant to be on Ben's Hill at night, a place where he was programmed never to leave after dark. His clipboard was gone. The absence of it just gave the illusion that he was pointing at nothing. I can't remember if this was before he died or after, which kind of just makes the whole thing more unsettling. The fact that he could be wandering around after his death like a ghost gave me more reason to be creeped out by it. He slowly walks down the paths and all the way up to Ben's Hill, and I mean slowly. There's not a lot to say about this glitch except for how ominous it feels. It's just so out of place, and you can't help but feel a little uneasy when things happen when you know they shouldn't. And you can probably guess why this bug occurs. It's yet another one of the scrapped beta features.
You're doing sick.
Characters would have the AI that let them free roam around the barn during the day and most likely the night. I can only assume that Ben's AI would have him walk up to the hill each night and back before daybreak. So breaking it down, it doesn't actually seem that bad. but I wonder why it still happens in the release game. And it's a mystery to what exactly triggers it. See, when you're playing an abandoned game or just an open world game by yourself, your imagination can often lead to things popping out at you or expecting to see someone when you know you shouldn't. So when it actually happens, I think there's something so strange about the feeling. It's a unique kind of unease that only a virtual world can provide. A quick thing I'd like to talk about before I start on my final atmosphere highlight of the game is the minigame titled Freddy's Dream. If you've seen the movie, you'd know that Freddy the ferret usually has his urges when it comes to peck or chickens in general.
Boneless white meat! What? I'm not hungry. I mean, I don't want to eat anyone. You. Huh? What happened? What?
I almost completely forgot about this minigame if I'm being honest, but damn, it was weird to see it again. It's just so out of place with the rest of the game. I mean, just watch this cutscene.
What the hell was that?
The minigame is just a reskin of Chicken Coop Defender and Coyote Defender, except this time we are in Freddy's nightmare defending the chickens from these Satan-looking Freddys. You're thrown into a version of the barnyard under a red sky, with these clouds that move so fast, and the whole time Freddy just mutters some creepy things to you while you play.
Freddy's here.
There's really not a lot for me to say about this minigame other than seeing the barnyard like this feels like a creepypasta gone bad. With its distorted and reversed music, the entire atmosphere is just so cursed. But I still wanted to mention it somewhere because it does deserve a spot on this list for how strange, random, and out of place it is compared to the serene atmosphere of the rest of the game. And it's just so incredibly hard for some reason, or maybe I just suck.
Why? There's so many of them. I didn't know.
Did this minigame scare you as a kid? Let me know in the comments. After raccoon season, we enter coyote season. Once Otis is done torturing us again,
How about a round of golf?
how about you fuck? The Jersey cows challenge us to another race in the form of a joyride. This becomes a reoccurring minigame, much like the bike racing. She looks at him like she just says slur or some shit. You basically just clunkily drive the farmer's pickup truck or Mrs. Beatty's car around and avoid the cops GTA style. I remember this definitely being one of the highlights for the game for sure. The controls are pretty awkward and unreliable, but you get used to it. You drive down empty country roads, past meadows, dairies, bridges, and lakes, floating trees, and paths that just end. Train tracks going nowhere. I was so excited to explore it all with the free roam camera and truly appreciate the level's detailed yet eerie beauty. Having a closer look, there are so many strange things in this area that just feel like they shouldn't be there. Besides us, the Jersey cows, and the occasional cop car, there's not another sign of life. Only traces, just the local cows seemingly sleeping or grazing. There's something odd about seeing them here. Besides their missing faces, the player isn't usually meant to see them for this long or this close. It makes me wonder, since all the other cows in this world walk and act like humans when the farmer isn't looking, why are these ones just still cows? They should be upright and walking around. There's no farmer here. They also seem so far from any barn, just left in the meadow. In reality, you wouldn't really think twice about this, but here, it feels strangely lonely. It makes you question the whole logistics of it. These cows with no eyes and no homes. This intersection at the bottom of the hill really stuck out to me and had to be my favourite part of discovering the areas in this map. Just how empty it is. No cars, devoid of people, and definitely looks like one of these images shown in the beginning of the video. A steep hill leads down to it, and under the glow of a single streetlight, you feel the stillness. It's so quiet. It encaptures that deep nighttime lull when everyone is asleep and the world is utterly still. The silent waiting pause before the dawn rush of cars and people. You look down at the roads, waiting for some sign of activity. but there's nothing. The absolute stillness and quiet makes it feel like the world has paused. But in this case of the digital world, knowing that it will never resume because it wasn't programmed to do so. There's no need if it doesn't provide any meaning to the player, so it remains stuck in time, this silent night. It's not out of the ordinary to see these farming machines in the country, including this wheat harvest that I am petrified of for complete other reasons.
That's right.
But I think the weirdest thing I came across going up the steep hill to the left, laying in the fields, had to be this old abandoned crashed warplane, with more cows just standing around it. This game has a pattern of leaving these old human items around, and each one feels stranger than the last. It just makes you stop and wonder how they got here. These colossal giants in the fields. There's such a sharp contrast between the peaceful, grazing animals and this brutal piece of machinery. Almost as if nature has started to take over again, as seen before in the car wreck with the vines and plants growing out of it. Following the same dirt road down the hill, we are greeted with these train tracks that stretch out over an entire map. Following them eventually leads us down the dirt path into a tunnel. Inside, the tunnel is nothing more than an empty underground cave, but it holds a peculiar comfort. Being underneath these hills in a secluded place, and the way you can just see the other end of the tunnel ahead of you, with all of its low poly textures, is kind of nice. It kind of reminds me of when you would play that colourful parachute game in PE as a kid, when you would just sit under it at the end, or when you would find a really cool hideout spot in the garden that only you knew about. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the best way I can describe how I feel in here. When we reach the end of the tunnel, we wind up at this massive bridge. There's no place in this entire map that feels as empty as this suspension bridge. The absolute size of it can make you feel utterly insignificant. Underneath it lays a void of grass, which you're obviously not meant to see, but when you do, it just reminds us of how virtual this world is. An obvious way to save time, money, and resources in this situation, but ends up adding to the atmosphere in the end. I think this can relate to the term touched upon loosely in Annie Austin's video, The Forgotten Atmosphere of Grand Theft Auto 3, secondary services, which he explains the term originating from woodwork is when you use worse materials where people won't usually see them. In this case, textures. Neighborhoods that stretch into the distance, seemingly endless. The houses stand hollow, creating an illusion of life when there is none. Parks that wait eternally for a playtime that would never begin. Despite all this, it's oddly comforting to be the only soul to witness this area's quiet beauty. What do you feel when you look at these images? We started with that question, and in this journey through Barnyard, my own answer has only deepened. In the end, Barnyard is my forgotten atmosphere. It's a private, quiet world that I and only a niche few get to experience. It's not a AAA game or a well-known classic, just a random piece of shovelware for a silly movie. But that's what makes it so special. Unexpected beauty in a place you never thought you'd find it. And revisiting it now seems less like playing a game and more like visiting a place from my childhood. A little eerie, a little sad, but deeply comforting and peaceful. Sure, it's unfinished, and I really wanted to get my hands on the PS2 version that's just so much more beautiful for some reason, but I had to settle with the PC version. I think the fact that there was an original intention to have the animals walking around, making you not entirely alone, and how it was initially scrapped, made the game's atmosphere the way it was. I think it definitely delves into the ghost of place aspect of the digital world. Sagan Hawks, who deeply inspired me to make this video in the first place, has a great video essay on digital horror and the ghost of place. I really recommend you watch it after this and check out his channel if you haven't already. He says something that I really think sums up a lot of the points attempted to be made in this video.
It's not just the woods or darkness could be hiding something. As I said, a place is built for people. Its existence is suited not just to their needs in a larger sense, but tailored to the specific needs of the human body. The height of a door frame, or a shelf, or a door handle, and even floor to walk on. So we're naturally inclined to expect to see them here, using everything which was purpose designed for them. So when we can't see them, it may imply to us that they are here, they're just somewhere unseen. Or perhaps a darker undertone to this line of thought could be that we can see that people are meant to be here, so what happened to them?
I think there's also something about the idea of wanting to explore what's beyond the outer bounds as a kid and how it was such a big desire with these types of games. The urge to go beyond the fences and bushes, even if it was kind of underwhelming. It wasn't always finding something, but the feeling of possibly finding something no one else had seen. And leaving it on that note, that pretty much wraps up this video. Unless there was something else I missed or forgot to mention, something that happened during your playthrough, feel free to let me know in the comments, as I'd really like to hear your experience with this game. Or if there's any other random game you'd like me to have a look at. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I know this was a very long one and on such a niche topic as well, but if anyone enjoyed this, please give it a like and maybe comment, as it really helps me get my work out there. Thank you again for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.